Imagine, just for a moment, that everything we've been taught about history is wrong. That beneath the ruins of forgotten civilizations and the stories tucked away in dusty scriptures lies a truth too terrifying to accept. A truth that says the end has already been written. Not by scientists, not by men, but by ancient watchers. And perhaps by God Himself. The date was December 21st, 2012. The world held its breath as millions believed the Mayan calendar predicted doomsday. But what if that date wasn't a mistake, or a myth? What if it was a warning, one we misunderstood? Because the Mayans didn't just predict the end. They remembered something far older. A beginning marked by fire, by ice, by flood, and by divine intervention. They spoke of 5 ages, each destroyed by catastrophe. And we, the children of the 5th age, may be standing on the edge of the next great reckoning. But this prophecy doesn't stand alone. In the sands of Egypt, coded into the very geometry of the Great Pyramid, in the chants of the Hopi elders of North America, in the sacred verses of the Bible, the Quran, and the Mahabharata, and even in the celestial data embedded in Hindu and Tibetan cosmology, there's a recurring whisper, a cosmic echo, a cycle of destruction, rebirth, and divine warning. And it always begins the same way. The skies shift, the earth groans, strange lights appear, and mankind feels it in their bones, the sense that something ancient is awakening, a reckoning long overdue. Could these be signs from heaven? Is God preparing to intervene once more? Or are we pawns in a cosmic battle between ancient intelligences, one that began before the first temple stone was laid, and one that will end in fire? This is not just a story about ancient prophecies. This is a story about now, about us, and about whether we are ready to face the truth before it's too late. Long before the Maya ever built their temples, before the first stone was carved with sacred glyphs, they chose a beginning, August 13th, 3114 BC, a day they believed marked the start of time itself. But here's the terrifying mystery. No Maya existed then. No city, no scribe, no star watcher to witness it. So why did they choose that exact date? It wasn't a guess. It wasn't random. It was calculated, backward, more than 3,000 years before their civilization even rose, as if someone whispered it to them, as if they were preserving a memory not their own. Ancient researchers believe the answer is astronomical, or perhaps cataclysmic. Some scholars propose that something massive happened in 3114 BC, perhaps an asteroid, perhaps a black sun. Evidence from Europe shows that around that time, multiple celestial impacts struck near Austria, enough to black out the sky. Temperatures plummeted, crops failed, the earth trembled. It wasn't just a local disaster. It was a global wound, ripped open without warning. And that's the moment the Maya chose as day 0, the beginning of the long count calendar. But why? Some believe the Maya didn't just remember. They were warned, not just by gods in legend, but by knowledge passed from a world before their own, a civilization that vanished without a trace. Could the Maya have inherited this time code from survivors of an older world? Survivors of a previous earth-ending event? And here's where it gets darker. According to Mayan cosmology, we are currently living in the 5th world. That means 4 other worlds, 4 previous versions of humanity, were wiped out before us. Fire, wind, flood, and something else, something they wouldn't name. Each destruction, each reset, followed a pattern. The earth cleansed, the heavens rebalanced, and then silence. So what does it mean that our world, the 5th, is nearing its end, just as theirs did? What if the Mayan calendar wasn't a prophecy, but a cycle? And we're not just living through time. we're spiraling toward a cosmic point that's already happened before. A return to chaos, to judgment, to fire. This is the ancient knowledge hidden in the Mayan count, that what begins in destruction often ends the same way. And the signs? They've already begun. To the Maya, time wasn't a straight line. It was a circle, a great wheel turning through eras of light and darkness. What we see as progress, they saw as repetition. What we call history, they believed was prophecy replaying itself. And they weren't alone. In the high deserts of the American Southwest, the Hopi, one of the oldest indigenous peoples, spoke of the very same truth. They too believe we are living in the fifth world, a time of purification, a time when humanity is given one final chance to live in harmony, before it all falls apart again. The Hopi say that if we ignore the signs, the earth will cleanse itself, just like before. From Egypt's pyramids to India's sacred texts, from Tibet to Mesopotamia, the pattern emerges again and again. Civilizations rising, then crumbling. Cultures warning of floods, fire, celestial events. The Mahabharata, one of the oldest Indian epics, foretells a Kali Yuga, an age of darkness and chaos, our age. And in nearly every ancient tradition, that darkness ends not in silence, but in destruction from above. Could they all be remembering the same event, the same fall? And if so, how? Some scholars argue that these prophecies are myth, coincidence. But what if they aren't? What if long ago, humanity faced something so devastating, so soul-shaking, that it left a scar on the collective memory of every culture? A memory encoded in story, scripture, and stone. Let's return to the Maya. Their calendar ends on December 21st, 2012. A date dismissed by the modern world. But what most don't know is this. The Maya never said the world would end. They said the cycle would, a great turning of time, and with it, a period of reckoning, of realignment. A cosmic pulse emanating from the center of the galaxy, passing through our solar system, amplified by the sun, reaching Earth. And what happens when that pulse arrives? Earthquakes? Solar flares? The collapse of magnetic shields? A disruption so great that even the spin of our planet could shift? Some scientists now say it's not impossible. Others whisper that it has already begun. The weather grows stranger. Storms gain strength. Fault lines grumble. The sun grows angrier. And deep below the ice and oceans, something ancient stirs. Is it all just nature, or are we being watched, guided, warned? If the ancients are right, we are not the first civilization to rise, and we will not be the last to fall. The question is no longer if the cycle turns, but whether we're ready when it does. The calendar may have ended, but the clock, it's still ticking. Across every continent, in nearly every ancient culture, there lingers a memory of a flood so vast, so cataclysmic, that it reshaped not just the earth, but the very soul of humanity. In Genesis, it was the wrath of God. In Sumerian texts, it was the decision of the gods. In Hindu epics, it was a divine cleansing. In Mayan myths, it was the end of an age. 1,200 cultures, 1,200 versions of the same story. How could they all remember a deluge unless it truly happened? What if the Great Flood was not a myth, but a marker? A divine reset etched into global memory. A celestial warning not just of what was, but of what will be. Geologists now speak of the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis, the theory that around 12,000 years ago, a massive comet or asteroid struck the Earth, triggering rapid climate collapse, continent-wide fires, and yes, an unimaginable flood. And here's the part that chills the soul. This impact occurred at the exact time many of these flood myths describe. Coincidence? Or prophecy fulfilled? In the Indian Ocean, just off the coast of Madagascar, Scientists have uncovered chevron-shaped sediment formations, deposits only possible from a mega-tsunami. Nearby, an underwater crater more than 18 miles wide tells the story of an object that fell from the heavens and brought the oceans with it. Even now, in the deep freeze of Norway, the Doomsday Vault waits in silence, holding the genetic keys to life. Not for today, but for what's coming. Humanity knows. It has always known. From ancient temples to modern seed vaults, we prepare, not out of fear, but out of memory. We remember what water once did, and we fear what fire might do next. Because this time, if the cycle holds, it won't be water that comes, it will be light. A blinding, searing force from the sun itself, like a trumpet from heaven shattering the sky. The Maya called it the rise of the sixth sun. The Bible speaks of fire raining down. The Hopi warn of a gourd of ashes falling from the heavens. Could this be the age of flame? And if so, are we already seeing its signs? The sun awakens, flares like a wounded beast. Geomagnetic storms whisper through our atmosphere. The earth shakes with unfamiliar rhythm, and somewhere, in the depths of our knowing, the soul hears a voice it cannot ignore. Repent, return, remember. Not because the end is near, but because the beginning is, and only those who heed the water will survive the fire. December 21st, 12, the date feared, mocked, dismissed. The day the Mayan calendar came to an end. Many laughed when the world didn't explode into fire that night. But maybe that day wasn't about destruction. Maybe it was about alignment. A moment when cosmic doors opened silently above our heads. According to Mayan prophecy, this was the day the earth, the sun, and the center of our Milky Way, what the ancients called the Dark Rift, would align perfectly. To the Maya, this wasn't just astronomy. It was rebirth. The galaxy, they believed, was a living womb, and every 26,000 years Earth would pass through this cosmic canal, a time of purification, trial, and transformation. It wasn't the end of the world. It was the end of an age, and the labor pains of a new one. But birth is never gentle, and rebirth is never bloodless. What happens when our planet stands in the crosshairs of the galactic core? What forces, what energies might pour through the gate of the stars and alter the rhythm of life itself? Scientists scoff, but in the years following 2012, strange things began to unfold. The sun entered a period of violent and unpredictable activity. Earth's magnetic poles began shifting faster than ever before. Solar flares began to strike, not just with light, but with the power to disable entire power grids. And deep below our feet, the planet's core seemed to shudder, as if remembering something ancient, something approaching. In the East, Tibetan monks speak of the sun as a lens, a divine amplifier of cosmic messages. They say that during the alignment, sacred energy from the heart of the galaxy is filtered through the sun and projected onto Earth. What kind of message is being delivered now? One of peace or one of warning? The answer may lie in our dreams, our instincts, our fears. Humanity is restless. The soul feels a turning, something vast and unseen, like the pulling tide before a tsunami. And here's what chills even the most grounded minds. This alignment has happened before. Roughly 13,000 years ago, the last time Earth crossed this galactic threshold, our ancestors vanished. Civilizations crumbled. Flood myths were born. Was that a cosmic reset? Are we on the threshold of another? From the pyramids of Giza to the temples of Teotihuacan, our ancestors left messages in stone, marking the stars, encoding the skies. Why? Because they remembered, they survived, and they warned. But did we listen? Or have we forgotten the sky's first language, the divine code written in starlight and silence? The Maya didn't believe the calendar ends. They believed it resets, and the reset always comes with a price. Because the universe doesn't warn twice. And when the sun aligns again, it might not be to bring light, but to bring judgment. Long before books, long before cities, long before empires rose and fell, there was a memory, a single searing memory, passed down in whispers and firelight. Every culture, every people, every tongue remembers it. The flood. It appears in over 200 ancient myths across the planet. From the Bible's Noah to the Epic of Gilgamesh, to the tales of Manu in India and Nu'u in Hawaii, the story remains chillingly the same. A great deluge, a world drowned, the wrath of the gods, a second chance for mankind. But what if it wasn't just a story? According to a team of scientists, the Holocene Impact Working Group, a massive asteroid slammed into the Indian Ocean thousands of years ago, near what is now Madagascar. The evidence? A 18-mile-wide crater beneath the sea. And strange formations called chevrons, found in Madagascar and Australia, filled with oceanic debris and microbeads only formed by cosmic impacts. The flood wasn't divine metaphor. It was a planetary trauma, and something deep inside us remembers. But why would so many civilizations from opposite ends of the earth frame it as divine punishment, a cosmic cleansing? Because they knew, or perhaps they were told. From beyond the stars, from watchers in the sky, came the warning, live with balance, or perish. The Bible says God repented of creating humanity, disgusted by our corruption. In the Sumerian tablets, the gods decide to send the flood to silence the noise of mankind. In Hinduism, the gods give a lone man a warning, a boat, and a mission to save a seed of life. Each version different, but the theme is the same, a reset, a purge, a divine reboot of humanity. What if these stories are not independent? What if they are echoes of the same cosmic event, told from different corners of a shattered world? And what if the flood wasn't the end, but the beginning? Because since that moment, something changed. Humanity began to look skyward, to build pyramids aligned with stars, to tell time by the heavens, to wait for the next sign. And now the signs are returning. The ice caps melt, the oceans rise, fires rage across continents, the skies burn red, the earth shakes as if remembering its ancient wound. The same elements, water, fire, wind, stone, are once again rising in fury. It's as if the flood is returning, but this time in pieces. Are we approaching the next great reset? And if so, who holds the key? The same gods who once destroyed us may still be watching, not to punish, not to save, but to see if we have learned, or if we need the flood again. What if the flood was only the first whisper? What if the true reckoning comes not from the seas, but from the stars? On December 21st, 2012, many feared the end of the world. The date marked the conclusion of the Mayan long count calendar, a system so astronomically advanced that modern scientists are still trying to decode its precision. But few asked a more unsettling question. Why did the Mayans start their calendar over 3,000 years before their civilization even existed? August 13th, 3114 BC. Day 1. A date backdated with intent. A moment tied to a cosmic event. Many researchers believe it marks a celestial alignment. The Earth, the Sun, and the center of the Milky Way galaxy, the galactic dark rift, all forming a perfect line. What lies in the heart of that dark rift? A supermassive black hole. A gravitational monster that scientists say could influence time, space, and even consciousness itself. The Mayans called it Xibalba, the Black Road. To them it was not just a galactic structure, but a spiritual gateway, a place where souls travel, where worlds end and begin again. And now that alignment has returned. According to the ancient Tibetan texts, the sun is not just a burning star. It is a cosmic lens magnifying energies from beyond, focusing them toward Earth. And when Earth aligns with the dark rift, when our solar system becomes the conduit, it is not just a gravitational alignment, but a spiritual one. Many believe this alignment triggered a new energy, one that affects the Earth's magnetic field, and by extension, our own minds and hearts. Since 2012, the world has shifted in ways no one predicted. Technological revolutions, global unrest, mental health crises, and a spiritual hunger rising across generations. It is as if something unseen has been stirring in the background. And what of the sun? Solar physicists confirm it is behaving erratically. Giant coronal holes, solar flares, plasma ejections, like it's pulsing with anger or warning. In ancient myths, the sun is often a god itself. Ra, Inti, Tonatiuh, Christ's halo. In Revelation, a woman clothed in the sun appears as a sign in the heavens. If the sun is more than fire, if it is a spiritual being or a divine mechanism, then what is it doing now? Some believe it is awakening, that its rage will cleanse what the flood could not, that this time fire will fall instead of water, not out of hatred, but because time has come full circle. The Mayans saw time as cyclical, not linear. What has happened will happen again, but in a new form, a higher octave, a final test. And those who are not ready, spiritually, morally, cosmically, will be swept away, not by chance, but by design. Because what's coming isn't just an end, it's a reckoning written in the stars. Beneath the dust of an ancient land where prophets once walked and kings fell on their knees, lies Megiddo. The silent valley whispered to be the stage of the world's final hour. It is no coincidence that this name gave rise to the word Armageddon. The book of Revelation tells us that the last war of heaven and earth will erupt here, where the armies of darkness will clash against the celestial host of God. But is this just religious poetry, or a prophecy encoded in the soul of humanity? Because the signs, they are multiplying, from cataclysmic floods to volcanic fire, from strange lights above the pyramids to unexplainable sounds beneath the sea. Earth is groaning, not as a dying creature, but like a woman in labor. Something is about to be born, or something is about to die. Revelation speaks of angels descending with trumpets, of beasts rising from the sea, of fire raining from the skies. But what if these visions were not allegory, but interdimensional phenomena that prophets once glimpsed? And what if the great battle is not just about blood or land, but about the soul of mankind? For centuries, cultures across the world have warned us there would come a moment when humanity would be tested, a great separation, the wheat from the chaff, the awake from the blind, the true from the hollow. We are no longer talking about politics or religion. We are talking about a spiritual filter sweeping across the globe. Everything is accelerating: technology, conflict, ideology. But what's truly changing is the human heart. It is being pulled, stirred, exposed. The masks are falling. People are awakening to a greater longing, or falling deeper into illusion. And this is what ancient texts have hinted at for millennia. Not the end of the world, but the end of a world, the death of a corrupted age, and the birthing of something sacred, something divine, something eternal. But not all will cross over, because at the center of all this prophecy is choice. This is why the book of Revelation speaks of seals and judgments, not to condemn blindly, but to reveal truth, to show us that our own decisions will summon the angels or the abyss. The war is not coming from above. It is manifesting from within. And Megiddo is not just a battlefield of femmes of flesh. It is the mirror of the human soul. It is where each of us must stand, before God, before truth, before the weight of every moment we've ignored. In the silence before the trumpet sounds, when the sky opens like a scroll, and you realize this battle has always been about you. In the quiet after the storm there is a stillness, not of peace, but of reckoning. You've heard the warnings from the Mayans who backdated time to a moment of fire and flood, from the Egyptians who etched secrets into stone, from the Hopi, the Hindus, the Christians, and the stars themselves. Across thousands of years and across all continents, a single message echoes in different tongues, in different symbols, but with the same trembling urgency. Something is coming, and it is bigger than we can imagine. Not just a flood, not just fire, but a shaking of the very fabric of reality, a cleansing, a confrontation between truth and illusion, between heaven and earth, between God and the counterfeit. But the most terrifying part? You already feel it. The unease when you look at the world and feel like it's all unraveling. The sense that time is quickening. The way the sun seems hotter, the storms more violent, the world more divided, and your soul more restless. This is not chaos. This is the trumpet blast in your spirit, the warning embedded in your very being, the call to wake up, because in every great flood there was one who built the ark. In every prophecy of destruction there was a remnant who survived, not by chance, but by choice. The Mayans called it the end of the fifth age. Revelation called it the final judgment. The ancients knew this world is not forever, but your soul is. So what will you do with it? Will you mock the signs, or will you kneel? Will you scroll past the truth, or will you search deeper? Will you prepare, not by storing food and batteries, but by repenting, by returning to the sacred, by making your life right with your Creator? This is not about fear. This is about remembrance, about remembering who you are and whose you are. Heaven is not just a place. It is a voice calling you home. And in the shaking, in the fire, in the darkened sun, God is speaking, not to destroy, but to awaken, not to judge, but to rescue, not to end the world, but to birth a new one. The final trumpet isn't some sound in the clouds. It is the echo rising in your chest right now. It is the heartbeat of a divine countdown. And when it stops, will you be ready?